go live. Okay.
Got it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Stephanie Spencer. She's been on the show before, but she's here today to talk about her offering in the once a year Ultimate Vegan Health and Weight Loss Bundle. Please welcome her back to the show. It's nice to see you again.
Hi, Chef AJ. Thanks so much for having me on this week. I'm so excited to be here, especially during bundle week. But yeah, I'll tell you, my name is Stephanie Spencer. I'm a cardiac RN, a former cardiac RN. I did that for about 27 years. And after a lifetime of doing chronic disease management, I used to run a heart failure clinic for almost 2 decades. I am so thrilled to finally have discovered plant-based nutrition and be working with folks to work on reversing their chronic diseases. So yeah, so I'll tell you real quick about my contribution to the bundle. It is my plant-based jumpstart course, and it basically gives you, it takes you from knowing absolutely nothing to giving you a firm foundation. I'm going to give you a lot more details at the end here, but I just want to tell you real quick at the beginning. But I have a 2-hour where do you get your protein video that I filmed before a live audience of standard American diet eaters. So it's a really good resource to show to people, especially if you have a loved one that's not on the same page with you, just all the basics of plant-based nutrition. But yeah, let me tell you real quick about our story. We've been plant-based just for 4 years now. And we switched to a plant-based diet after my husband came home from the doctor one day with blood work showing that he was diabetic. And I was absolutely aghast because I thought we were healthy. And I've spent my entire adult life working with people that are basically dying from the end stage effects of what started out as pre-diabetes or a little bit of hypertension. And then it just always gets worse and worse. These things never go away. That's why we call them chronic diseases. And so, yeah, as soon as I got that blood work, I was like, we're going plant-based tomorrow. And by God, we did. And we both lost, we were about 20 pounds overweight. So we both lost 20 pounds within 4 months. That's just when we rechecked the blood work, but like his pre-diabetes was back to normal. And so at that point, I was just fascinated because I thought it'd be really hard to switch to a plant-based diet. And I'm like, this is the easiest diet I've ever been on. I just love the food. And so then I got a certification through the T. Colin Campbell program. And then I went on to get a board certification in lifestyle medicine through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And so, yeah, so what I want to do today is I want to use my time on Chef AJ Live to try to clarify what I think is one of the most misunderstood health concepts in the year 2023 with the most far-reaching consequences. And that is, I want to do a demonstration to illustrate why a whole food plant-based diet is the most effective way to stop managing and start reversing your type 2 diabetes, okay? Because this is so important because diabetes has reached epidemic levels in our society because we have a hyper-industrialized food system. So we have fully 37% of the US population is pre-diabetic. And by the time we get to middle age in our 60s, half the population is either pre-diabetic or diabetic, okay? And medical costs are 2.3 times higher for diabetics than they are for non-diabetics. So it's really important to, if you are diabetic or you're just borderline, don't blow off the borderline thing. You need to take charge of this right now. So I want to explain how the body metabolizes food, like how sugar works in our body normally, okay? So everything we eat is turned into sugar, and I'm going to use a little demo here, okay? We're going to pretend this little sieve is our muscle cells, okay? And so whenever we eat food, the food is turned into sugar in our GI tract, and it's absorbed into our GI tract and goes into our bloodstream from there. So here's our sugar, right? And so then the sugar is going to be going through our bloodstream, and then we also have our muscle cells. So glucose is the energy that we run on, and so our muscle cells have to uptake the glucose from the bloodstream. But it's as if pretend this is like one cell, and this is the wall of the muscle cells. The walls it's in effect like little locks that have to be opened up so that the glucose can go from the bloodstream into the cell. And the insulin is the key that opens the locks on the wall of the cells. So it's like, imagine this spoon is insulin and here's your sugar. The insulin's going to open up the locks, and then our sugar can go from the bloodstream into the cell. This is an insulin sensitive cell because we can see the sugar going right through, right? Like, to be clear, it's not table sugar, it's just glucose in your bloodstream. But so yeah, that's how it should normally work in a healthy insulin sensitive cell. So how do we develop insulin resistance? You've probably heard that term, insulin resistance. And it's important to understand, we have had an explosion, like when people are griping that, like, why don't people know this? I mean, oh, sure, they should probably know it by now, like in the medical field, but we've just had an explosion of nutritional research in the last 15 years. And like when I was in college, this was unknown, this mechanism of insulin resistance. So in 2006, we got a new technology called MR spectroscopy. It's kind of like MRIs, right? And so with MR spectroscopy, we could see into the muscle cells of diabetics. And what they found out was that the muscle cells of diabetics were actually covered with a wall of fat on that muscle cell wall. And so what happens is that the sugar comes up here, right? And the fat is in effect clogging up the locks on the cell. And so when the insulin is trying to escort the glucose into the muscle cell, it can't get through, the key can't get through those clogged locks. So it tries to, get the glucose through, but it just won't go through that wall of fat. So why is this? Why is diabetes increasing so rapidly if we understand now that it has something to do with fat buildup on the muscle cells? This is an insulin resistant cell. This is what insulin resistance is. The reason this is happening now is that over the last 100 years, our per capita cheese intake has increased. I think it's all about the cheese mostly, or vast majority, has increased 800%. From 3 pounds a year 100 years ago to 27 pounds a year of cheese we eat. We've increased our meat consumption 140% in the last 100 years. Like, people always think like, oh, back in the old days, all they ate was meat and lard. We eat a lot more now. So we went from 90 pounds of meat a year to 216 pounds of meat a year now. Oil consumption has increased 1,650% in the last 100 years, from 4 pounds a year to 70 pounds a year. They didn't have 100 years ago, they didn't have like walls of brightly covered packages of Doritos that people just ate all the time, in addition to all the other lard. So anyway, that's what's clogging up our cells and causing insulin resistance. And so when the glucose can't go from the bloodstream into the cells, then the glucose is just going to start building up into higher and higher levels in the bloodstream. And then you'll start to not feel good. And the owner of the bloodstream is going to go to the doctor. And usually new onset diabetics have symptoms of being excessively thirsty, being excessively hungry, being tired, and urinating all the time. And you go to a doctor and tell them that, they're gonna be like, they're gonna know you've probably got diabetes. They're gonna check your blood, and sure enough, the blood sugar is gonna be really high. And so what usually happens at that point when you go to the doctor, that's when you'll probably get started on some medication, depending on how bad your diabetes is. And then you're gonna be counseled usually to go on the American Diabetic Association diet, which is basically a balance your carbs diet, like don't eat too many carbs. And so that's the problem. You start eating a bunch of turkey wraps and, chicken and salmon on your salad. But Dr. Neil Bernard had a theory that maybe this American Diabetic Association diet was not the best diet, because I've never seen in my entire career anyone's diabetes reverse on an ADA diet. Okay. So Dr. Neil Bernard had a theory that it was this muscle fat causing or muscle cell fat causing the insulin resistance. So with the funding of the NIH I think it was like in around 2006, he did a study to compare the American Diabetic Association diet patients. He had two arms, one group of patients on the ADA diet, and then he put another group of patients of diabetics on a low-fat plant-based diet, and he compared their progress. And it turns out that the plant-based diet arm actually had 3 times the amount of lowered blood sugars than the ADA arm did, lowered as measured by hemoglobin A1C, and that's a long-term measure of your blood sugar. So their A1C dropped 3 times as much as the American Diabetic Association group. The patients in the plant-based group also had twice the weight loss. They had twice the drop in LDL, low density lipoprotein, that's your bad cholesterol. And they were able to discontinue twice as many meds compared to the ADA group. And then in another study, if you're wondering, how fast can I make progress with my diabetes? There was another researcher named Anderson, and he switched patients to a plant-based diet, made them eat so much that they couldn't lose any weight, because lots of times they'll attribute the improvement to just sheer weight loss, not the food, not the type of food. But when he controlled for weight loss, made them eat like so many potatoes, they couldn't lose weight. But individuals just switched to plant-based food. Patients that were taking insulin for their diabetes were able to decrease their insulin requirements by 60% in just 16 days. But that was on a diet where they were getting 65 grams of fiber a day. So now a plant-based diet, and well, let me show you real quick. I forgot my punchline here. So this is what happens. We go on a plant-based diet, okay? And our bloodstream, it's naturally low in fat. That's why everything in this bundle is no oil. It's crucial. You can't just eat vegan food. You have to do no oil. So once you go on a low-fat, plant-based, no oil diet, guess what? All this excess fat, it's like your bloodstream is so low in fat that it's going to melt the fat out of your cells, okay? And this is exactly what happens. So all that fat buildup goes away, and then the glucose, the sugar, is going to work again. Now we're insulin sensitive, and the glucose can go right through the walls again. That's restoring insulin sensitivity. And a plant-based diet is the most effective way to do that. So believe it or not, now a plant-based diet is accepted by the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and even the American Diabetic Association admits that a plant-based diet is an acceptable way to treat diabetes, okay? However, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, hold on, let me move this over here. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine actively promotes a plant-based diet as the primary treatment that we should use on all type 2 diabetic patients. So in my plant-based jumpstart course, in the bundle, if you are diabetic, I have a whole preparatory part in the beginning, like an introductory part, and I have resources for you to give to your physician, like for your non-plant-based physician. My course is really good for people that don't have access to a plant-based physician, which is like most of us in the United States, right? My theory is that if you're just working on chronic disease reversal, you don't necessarily need a plant-based physician. You just need to do the diet. But then you can, my course, I have a physician's reference sheet, and you can just print that off and hand it to your non-plant-based physician when they ask you, where are you going to get your protein? And it gives them all sorts of resources about the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, but it also has, and there's a printable link for you to print this off, a position paper by the ACLM on type 2 diabetes remission, and basically saying that we as clinicians have an obligation to reverse type 2 diabetes instead of just managing the symptoms for all eternity if we have data that shows that this is an effective treatment. And they show all the research in this paper too, okay? So if you're suffering from diabetes and decide you want to take charge of your life and you're wondering where to start, buy the bundle, okay? The whole reason we call this the ultimate weight loss and health bundle. I mean, it's more than just a vegan bundle. This is plant-based, and it is, all the contributions are no oil. Why did they say no oil? For this very reason, because half of the population is suffering from diseases of fat toxicity, which is diabetes and heart disease. Diabetes leads to heart disease very quickly. And then it's really, diabetics have a very high rate of having heart attacks. That's the #1 cause of death. These are the largest health problems we have in our society, and it's from fat excess, okay? And so plants do have fat in them. They naturally have a low amount of fat, and that's the amount of fat that your body's gonna do really well on for reversing your diabetes. So anyway, once you understand, I've got to eat whole food plants, is that just steamed rice and broccoli? No, this is 2023 and we've got the internet, right? And so I'm an RN, but there's all sorts of like insanely creative chefs and things out there. We have things like black bean brownies, chickpea cookie dough. It's not just all boring. There, I'm going to tell you, like, don't ever focus on just what you can't eat with a plant-based diet. Just look at all the things you can eat. You can have pancakes. You can have fried potatoes, air fries, right? You can have all sorts of Mexican and Indian dishes made with beans and chickpeas. In the bundle, we have super veg bowls, which are it's like a whole recipe book of like Buddha bowls. Some are hot, some are cold. They came up with this novel idea of making this pate, which is like, it's like a scoop made out of like pureed mushrooms, legumes, and nuts. And then they have all different recipes for different flavors. I mean, lots of exciting things. We've got batch cooking recipes, 2 batch cooking bundles, Vicky Gock and Tammy Kramer. They will get you completely organized, so where you can spend minimal amount of time to have maximum amount of food. Food journaling resources by Melissa that organized the whole bundle. I looked at that. I think that's amazing. It helps you, like, I'm going to do that as soon as I get done with the bundle, is like organize my life so I plan my meals out better. Chef Ramsey's Bravo has this advanced cooking class, all whole food, plant-based, no oil. He used to be the chef at True North in Santa Rosa, which is like you check in and reverse your diabetes in 2 weeks with fasting. But so he has an advanced cooking technique, an entire course. I literally already bought this course for my son for Christmas, who's in culinary school. I wanted him to see it. And then I discovered it was in the bundle. So like, you get so much in this bundle. But Chef Ramsey's, I like him a whole lot because he teaches like intuitive cooking techniques. Instead of just saying, here's a bunch of recipes, he explains like how you get aromatics, how you you just build a base of that. Then you can throw on like any kind of squash or starchy vegetable. You can make a soup, you can make a dip. It's really cool. There's tofu training wheels, everything you need to know about tofu. My husband is now addicted to their crispy tofu recipe. Well Your World, who is famous for their sauces, they have a ton of recipes. They sell sauces online. You have coupons for that. They have a ton of ethnic recipes. I made this patatas bravas with this like potatoes with red pepper sauce. It's delicious. An all soup cookbook. I don't cook. I cook a little, by Lauren Burnick. She's a good friend of mine. I saw them do a thing with Chef AJ. I think it was a couple of days ago. She said, I don't cook, I assemble. Yes, you can just assemble the food. Like, there's easy recipes, there's more advanced recipes, everything you need to know. So let me tell you real quick about my contribution to the bundle, and then I'm going to make you a fun food that you get to have as a diabetic. It's diabetic ice cream. So yeah, but in my course, I mean, why not go for it? But in my course, you're going to start off, it's called Stephanie Spencer's Plant-Based Jumpstart Program. You're going to start out with a pantry prep and shopping list. You can just this is great for people that are brand new to plant-based nutrition. You can just buy all the weird things in one trip, and then you can make all your recipes. Okay. And then I told you, we've got those physician consultations, the lab work. I've got a little worksheet for you to plug in your lab values. You can just look at like your last, annual health visit with your lipid panel, your cholesterol numbers, things like that. I've got all the labs you need to try to reverse chronic disease. You're going to plug in what your labs are right now, and then you're going to see what our goals are, what we're going to aim for chronic disease reversal, because here we're working on reversing. We're not just managing anymore. Okay. I have an how strict do I need to be worksheet, a goals worksheet. That depends on what your goal is. Okay. And then you're going to get my 2-hour video on where do you get your protein, a live video. It's really engaging. I got people in the audience that are laughing and stuff, but we talk about fiber, we talk about nutrient density, we talk all about the difference in great detail between the difference between animal protein and plant protein. So you will understand that thoroughly and understand that you can get all the protein you need. And then I have a roadmap, a fiber journal homework. You're going to have a fiber assignment. You're going to know exactly how many servings of food you need a day out of each plant-based food group. And then I've just got tons of resources, recipes. We're going to talk about, I have a microgreens business. We're going to talk about broccoli sprouts too, the amazing benefits you get from them. Yeah, so that's basically it. Follow me on Facebook and YouTube. Natural State Plant-Based is the name of my Facebook and YouTube channel. But you can click the link below and all those links will be there. Click the link below and you can buy that bundle right now and take charge of your health. And to be clear, on my computer, I don't know, I think they did an update. It's hard to find the show notes these days. It says like filmed yesterday, 21 hours, so many views, and then it'll say ... more. You click on the ... more to get to the show notes. But so yeah, that's basically that. Now what I want to show you, Chef AJ, let me turn this around. I'm going to do a demo with my blender here. I guess, can you see that okay? All right. We're going to make some nice cream, okay? And so if you want to maximally improve your health, the most important thing you need to do is to swap. Don't just add an extra salad. We all know how to eat salads. You need to swap the animal protein. So instead of eating ice cream, which everyone loves ice cream, the geniuses in the plant-based world came up with nice cream, okay, which is frozen bananas, all right? And I got this recipe from Brittany Giarrudi's plant-based. She's got like, I don't know, 40 recipes. This is a really popular cookbook, and she has a huge YouTube channel as well. Plant milk, bananas. Then we're going to put, this is mint ice cream. Okay, mint nice cream. All right. And then we're going to use matcha powder to make it green. Okay. There's my matcha tea. And then we're going to do just a little bit of peppermint extract. Okay. And I guess I'm going to assume that Zoom is going to tune out this nasty sound. All right, here we go. Bada bing, bada boom, it's all done. All right, and then I'm just gonna dump it out here. Okay, let me show you this. Who wouldn't want, can we see, who wouldn't want to eat that?
I'd eat it right now.
Yes, so, but there are so many recipes like this in the bundle. But like, I never would have thought to blend up bananas and make nice cream on my own. This is why we need other people. And so that's the beauty of plant-based nutrition. I come from the regular medical field, right? Where it's all meds and invasive procedures. And when you're dealing with meds and invasive procedures, there's always a gatekeeper that's going to put a little toll booth in front of you, a little toll gate, and say, you don't have the right card in your pocket. You're going to have to pay $1,500 for this. This is just food that grows out of the ground. And these are just people sharing recipes of natural food. So you can't get any better than that. It's accessible to everyone, unlike our healthcare system. And yeah, I think you need to just hop on there and buy the bundle now. What do you think, Chef AJ?
I think so. And I think I believe there's over 2,000 recipes, but you know, it's more than recipes, you know?
Right. Yeah. So you're right. It's recipes, it's ebooks. It's like, there's a book about autism and treating that by speech language pathologist with plants, basically with a foreword by Dr. T. Colin Campbell. There's my course. There's a bunch of other physician courses. Dr. Colin Zhu. I mean, like, there's like, I don't know, like 10 doctors. There's Zoom calls with plant-based doctors like Dr. Goldhammer and Dr. Furman through PBNSG. There's coupons for like date paste and like prepared. I mean, there are some prepared foods that you can get that like entrepreneurs that have come up with a line of products that are plant-based with no oil. That's the thing you've got to focus on, is just staying no oil. And then your chronic diseases are going to get a lot better. But yeah, there are just so many products. I've been looking at this bundle for, I don't know, 3 weeks. And I just keep finding more and more, though they kept adding more and more stuff, but I've learned a lot. There's even a gut health bundle, people that have GI issues. And like, I learned a lot from the gut health bundles from a plant-based gastroenterologist. So for those of you that don't have access to a plant-based doctor, because you live in the middle of the country, right? Everyone else, Chef AJ and all her people are out in California, you know, but yeah, I mean, like, that's the beauty of the internet. You can just access it all on the bundle. So anything else, Chef AJ? Is there any question here?
Nope. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being in the bundle and for your wonderful offering and for the wonderful presentation you gave just now.
You betcha. It's an honor to be here. I'm very happy to.
Thank you, Stephanie. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in about 20 minutes when we have Paul Chatlin, who reversed his heart disease very late in life.
Tell Paul I said hi. I have an interview with him on my YouTube channel too.
Wonderful. He's great. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.